Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet, our theory session 9 of carbon and its compounds. So it has been quite long we are discussing this topic. I hope now you can draw the structures of hydrocarbons and also name them and about the properties of the compounds in the homologous series. Now in this session students, we will be discussing about a very important organic compound, that is ethanol or the alcohols. So let's start our discussion. Now alcohols, what are alcohols? We know that it is a hydrocarbon. It has got carbon and hydrogen. So when the hydrogen of an alkane is replaced by what? When it is replaced by a hydroxyl group, then it forms what? Alcohol. So let's take up this, say let me write one alkane, that is your methane, the simplest one. I always prefer to start with the simplest one so that it is easy for you to understand. Now what is the general formula of this children? The general formula of an alkane is CnH2n plus 2. Now for the formation of an alcohol, what is happening? That, say, this carbon is bonded to how many hydrogens here? It is bonded to 4 hydrogen atoms, right? Now in this case, say there are, I'll put in here 4 hydrogen atoms. Now if I am replacing this hydrogen by a hydroxyl group, that is OH, right? So what would be my product formed? The product formed would be CH3OH. So our alcohol is obtained by replacing hydrogen by a hydroxyl group. Now what is the general formula of alcohols? It is CnH2n plus 1 OH. So this is the general formula of our alcohol. Now this ethanol, why are we studying this ethanol? Because this is a very important member of alcohol. So this is our ethanol. Ethanol is the second member of homologous series of alcohols. You might be aware of this homologous series. We discussed it in our previous sessions. Now its formula, you can work out the formula. Eth meaning 2, ane meaning one single bond between the carbon atoms, and ol meaning OH. So the formula of ethanol is C2H5OH. Now the common name of ethanol is ethyl alcohol. Why ethyl? I told you students that the alkyl is what? When one of the hydrogen has been replaced or has been removed out. Say, if I am writing an alkane C2H6, if I am removing one of the hydrogens from this, and what I am getting after removing one of the hydrogen, what I'll get here is C2H5. Now what will be that C2H5? It would be ethyl. I'll get C2H5. And what is it? It is ethyl. So this is an alkyl. Now what is the common name of this? C2H5OH, ethyl alcohol. Now let's take up its properties. Physical properties of ethanol. Ethanol is a colorless liquid, has a pleasant smell and a burning taste. So those who have tasted it, they are telling it. Now you don't try. So it has got a burning taste. Now its boiling point is 78 degrees centigrade. That is, it starts boiling at 78 degrees centigrade and its freezing point is 114 degree centigrade. That is when it freezes. It is soluble in water and almost all the organic solvents. Why it is soluble in water? Because it has the property to form bonds with water molecules. I'll just tell you in short what type of bonds it is forming. That say I am taking an alcohol, that is C2H5OH. Now you must be knowing what is oxygen. Oxygen is electronegative. We have discussed this, right? Electronegative. That is, it attracts a pair of electron and forms negative ions. And what is hydrogen? Hydrogen is electropositive. Now what happens when I am dissolving this ethanol in water? So I have got here what? C bonded to C, bonded to O, and O is bonded to H. If I am not writing anything here, what does this mean? That there is hydrogen here. Now what happens? Say this is your water molecule, H bonded to O, and this is again bonded to H. Now what happens? There is a force of attraction between this oxygen of alcohol and hydrogen of water. So this happens with every molecule of ethanol. Say this is the second molecule of ethanol, that is C2H5. Now again there will be a force of attraction between this hydrogen and oxygen. So what happens? That this force of attraction is called as hydrogen bonding. Now due to this bonding, this hydrogen bonding, the ethanol dissolves in water. So what is hydrogen bonding? It is a bond formed between oxygen and the electropositive atom of the other molecule. So it's not exactly a bond, it is a force of attraction. Likewise, if there is another water molecule here, say that is H, O and H, again there will be a force of attraction between this oxygen and this hydrogen. No, this hydrogen will not form hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bonding only occurs with the OH group. Sorry. Now, this force of attraction is hydrogen bonding, and due to this type of bond formation, ethanol is soluble in water. This is I am telling you just in short. We will discuss it in details in your next classes. So, what is it? Due to the presence of force of attraction between oxygen of ethanol and hydrogen of water, ethanol is soluble in water. And it is also soluble in organic solvent, as it itself is an organic compound. Now moving to the next properties. It is a neutral compound, that is, it is neither acidic nor basic. It is commonly called alcohol. Why? As it is an active ingredient of all alcoholic drinks. So, if we call alcohol, what are we calling it? What are we talking about? We are talking about ethanol. It is a good solvent and is used in medicines like cough syrups. It is combustible and burns with a blue flame. So it will burn with a blue flame because it is a saturated compound. The ratio of carbon is less. Now let's take up its chemical properties, student. So when I talk of chemical properties, what does this mean? It is, I am talking about the type of reactions it is undergoing. So we have the first property is combustion. I told you what is combustion. It is burning of a substance in air is called as what? Combustion. Now ethanol is an inflammable liquid, that is, it catches fire easily and starts burning. Your ethanol reacts with oxygen on combustion or burning, and it forms what? Carbon dioxide, water, heat and light. So it is every hydrocarbon when burnt in air gives you carbon dioxide and water. So its next property is action with sodium metal. How it reacts with sodium metal? When a piece of sodium is dropped in ethyl alcohol, what happens? Bubbles of hydrogen gas are observed. That is, 2C2H5OH plus sodium metal will give you what? sodium ethoxide. This is sodium, and C2H5 is called as ethoxide and hydrogen gas. Say if I write C3, the another reaction, that is C3H7OH plus of sodium, what I'll get here? Just guess the products. In organic chemistry it is very easy to guess the products. Now in this case what is happening? This hydrogen is replaced by sodium. Now what we will get? C3H7ONA plus what else? Hydrogen gas. So it would be 2 and it would be 2. What is the name of this compound? The root word prop. Single bonds between the carbon atoms. N. Functional group is alcohol, so it would be propanol. Now here what is happening is, this is a salt type of, like in inorganic we would have called it a salt. And this what happens, that this is the metal is named first, so it is sodium. And your RO, R is any alkyl. It can be C3H7O or it can be C4H9O. So with any alkyl it is called as what? It is alkoxide. Okay, so this would be what? Sodium propoxide. So when an alcohol reacts with sodium metal, what are the things formed or the products formed? They are the ethoxides or the metal oxides and the hydrogen gases evolved. Now what you have to do is, you have to remember this, that this hydrogen gas is evolved here. This is a frequently asked question. So now let's take up its next property, that is action with phosphorus trichloride. Ethanol reacts with phosphorus trichloride to form ethyl chloride. Ethanol, you can take any alcohol here, or students, it is not like if I am taking the example of ethanol, in your exams also they'll ask ethanol. It can be propanol, it can be butanol, or any alcohol it can be. So what you need to remember is that which element is replacing what, or which atom is replacing which atom. Now in this case what is happening? C2H5OH is reacting with PCl3 and it is forming C2H5Cl plus of H3PO3, phosphoric acid, right? A phosphorus acid it is. Phosphoric acid is H3PO4, so this is phosphorus acid. Now in this case, so this is forming what? H3PO3, that is a phosphorus acid. Now what is happening here? That is, your hydroxyl group is being replaced by chlorine. Say I'm taking another alcohol here, let's take it the simplest one, CH3OH, or I'll take it C3H7OH. And if I am treating this with PCl3, what would be my products? My products would be what? The hydroxyl of alcohol will be replaced by chlorine. So it would be what? 3C3H7Cl plus of H3PO3, that is your phosphorus acid. So what is the point thing to be remembered is that this hydroxyl group is being replaced, and it is replaced by chlorine. If I take for example PCl5 in place of PCl3, what would be my product? Now I'll take the example of a simplest alcohol, that is CH3OH. If I am treating this with PCl5, okay, what is PCl5? PCl5 is phosphorus pentachloride. Now when I am treating this with phosphorus pentachloride, what I'll get, again your hydroxyl group will be replaced, and this would be replaced by chlorine. What else it forms? It forms Cl2 and it forms H2O. So the byproducts are different in this case, but the product is the same. It will not give the Cl2, it will give PCl3, tries of HCl and PCl3. The byproduct would be PCl3. So in case of PCl5, I am getting CH3Cl and PCl3. So what is happening here? Our main product remains the same, that is an alkyl chloride. So I can write a general reaction that alcohols, I can take it ROH, when react with PCl3 or PCl5, what are they going to form? They will form alkyl halides. Remember that whatever alkane you are taking here, the respective halide will be formed. That is, the product is RCl, that is alkyl halide. Right? If you're not remembering the byproducts also, then it's okay. Now let's take up the next reaction here. It is action with concentrated sulfuric acid. You know that concentrated sulfuric acid is a dehydrating agent. Dehydrating agent means, say your PCl5 was a chlorinating agent. That is, what it was doing, it was adding chlorine. And H2SO4 is a dehydrating agent. That is, it is removing water molecule. At 170 degrees centigrade, ethyl alcohol undergoes dehydration when treated with concentrated sulfuric acid to form what? Ethene, right? That is C2H5OH when heated to 170 degrees centigrade. Here students, temperature is very, very important. You should remember temperature, okay? It is forming what? Ethene and water. So what is the formula of ethene? C2H4. And what it is forming? It is forming ethene plus of water. Now here, this concentrated sulfuric acid is a dehydrating agent as it removes water from ethanol. I can take any other alcohol. These properties are, students, general for all the alcohols. So what will happen? There is a removal of water molecule only. If I am taking some another alcohol like C4H9OH, what is it? It is butanol. Now if I am treating this butanol with concentrated sulfuric acid, what it will form? It will form butene. What is the formula of butene? Alkene. It is CnH2n. So it will form C4H8 plus water. That is your butene. So what is it? What is the role of concentrated sulfuric acid here? It is taking out that water molecule from ethanol. Now here, I told you temperature is very important here. You have to remember the temperature. Now at lower temperature of 140 degrees centigrade, when what is present in excess? When present in excess, ethyl alcohol forms a pleasant smelling substance called diethyl ether. That is, when ethyl alcohol is present in excess, it forms what? Diethyl ether. So I'll write it here because the statement is not very clear. That is, when ethyl alcohol is present in excess, what is the product formed? Ether. And at what temperature? 140 degree centigrade. So what is the product is ether, C2H5O C2H5. Its name is diethyl ether. And ether, what is the functional group? Functional group, it is oxygen only, that is oxygen at the center, and there are two R groups. So it is also called as oxy. So at 170 degree centigrade it is forming an alkene, and at 140 degree centigrade it is forming an ether. Now there is another property of ethanol, that is oxidation. We did combustion, that is the uncontrolled, that is burning of a substance in air. And oxidation is what? Oxidation means controlled combustion. When ethanol is heated with alkaline potassium permanganate solution, it gets oxidized to ethanoic acid. That is ethanol plus nascent oxygen. The single atom of oxygen is called what? Nascent oxygen. In the presence of, now this nascent oxygen is provided by alkaline potassium permanganate or potassium dichromate. Then it forms what? Acetic acid and water. Now why this is called an oxidation reaction? This is called an oxidation reaction because oxygen is added to the alcohol in this conversion. So what is happening here? Your oxygen is being added. Say here in ethanol there was a single oxygen atom, but after oxidation there is one more oxygen atom here. Here the formula of the compound was C2H6 and O, and here the formula of the compound becomes C2H4O2. So there is removal of hydrogen as well as addition of oxygen. So this is an oxidation reaction. So alkaline potassium permanganate or acidified potassium dichromate, they serve as what? Oxidizing agents. Now let's see some of the uses of alcohols. Alcohols are important chemical compounds used in chemical industries. These are used as solvents basically. Ethyl alcohol is used as a solvent for organic solutes, especially which are insoluble in water. Say your carbon tetrachloride, it is insoluble in water, but it is soluble in alcohol. Right? Most of the alkanes, they are insoluble in water. You must have seen, is oil soluble in water? No. But oil is soluble in alcohol. It is used in the preparation of perfumes. Why? Because of its volatile nature. It removes off. It is used in deodorants also. It is used in the manufacturing of gasohol. Gasohol means it is a combination of gasoline and ethanol, which is 90% mixture of gasoline and 10% ethanol. It helps to save gasoline. It is used in alcoholic beverages, everybody knows it. It is used as a solvent for paints, varnishes and dyes. Why? Because the paints and varnishes are insoluble in water. So your ethanol is used as a solvent. It is used in the production of many other organic compounds, like you can make aldehydes of it, you can make out ketones, or you can also prepare acids from it. So this is used for the production of these organic compounds also. Now let's take up this very important topic, that is effect of alcohol on human beings. Alcohol consumption these days has been increased a lot. Right? Students of say age 18 or 19, they are also taking up alcohol, and I think they don't know the repercussions of it. So the maximum use of ethanol is in the form of alcoholic beverages. such as wine, beer, rum, brandy, whiskey, or vodka, gin, whatever alcohol beverages are there. The maximum percentages of ethanol. In large amounts, it affects the central nervous system. Remember, it has straight attack on the central nervous system. What happens because of that? It also leads to mental confusions, lowering of mental inhibitions, due to which drunken man becomes quarrelsome, means he doesn't know what he is doing. The person experiences lack of coordination. Why? Because that is affecting the central nervous system. Loss of control over muscles and loses his or her sense of balance and mental ability. It can be a habit forming drug also. It can be habit forming. So one can become addicted to it easily. If consumed over a period of time, alcohol can ruin one's health, especially the liver, which gets affected by cirrhosis. Now students, every time they say that your liver gets affected or the drunkard's liver gets affected. Why? Because this alcohol is not at all digested in the stomach. It is digested in the liver. Okay, and liver has to work on it and lots of chemicals are produced. So due to the byproducts of this alcohol, the liver tissues get affected and it forms cirrhosis. In cirrhosis, the liver becomes like cheese. It becomes very hard and it stops functioning. So this alcohol is very harmful for health. Now, unlike ethanol, intake of methanol in very small quantities is lethal. If methanol is consumed, a person is bound to die. He will die because it is poisonous in nature. Why? Methanol is oxidized to methanol in the liver. Now, what is the formula of methanol, students? It is CH3OH. Now, in liver, it is oxidized to methanol, that is HCHO. This is methanol. This is methanol. This methanol is also called as formaldehyde. Now you know what is formalin. Formalin is 40% formaldehyde is formalin. That is, it is forming a poisonous substance. Formalin is used as a disinfecting agent. So this 40% methanol or the formaldehyde is formalin, and you must be knowing formalin, how poisonous it is. So methanol reacts rapidly with the components of cells and causes the coagulation of the cell protoplasm. So the cell protoplasm coagulates. First of all, it is forming methanol. Then it is reacting with the components of cells also, and it is causing its protoplasm to coagulate. It is also affecting optic nerve, due to which what is caused is blindness. So methanol is lethal. Now there is another thing, that is methylated spirit or denatured alcohol. Alcohol used for industrial and surgical purposes is made unfit for human consumption by adding methyl alcohol or methanol to it. Just imagine, say in a medical industry or the industry which is making some cough syrup, or where this is used, ethanol is used. If people or the workers start consuming it, then what will happen? It will affect their health and also the business. So what is done is that it is made unfit for drinking. How unfit for drinking? By mixing in what? By mixing methyl alcohol. Now that is called as methylated spirit. You have to remember this, methylated spirit and denatured alcohol. And sometimes what happens, that chemicals like copper sulfate or pyridine are also added to ethyl alcohol, and that it is called as what? Denatured alcohol. So methylated spirit is methyl alcohol added to ethanol. Denatured alcohol is copper sulfate or pyridine added to alcohol. Now these chemicals are dyes that impart blue color so that it can be identified easily. Now denatured spirit or methylated spirit mixture is prepared so as to prevent people from drinking ethanol. So it is prepared to prevent people from drinking ethanol, or to restrict people, you can say. Then there is another thing here, that is absolute alcohol. It is 99.9% ethanol and 0.1% water. Many times you can find it as 99.8% or 99.8.5%, but it is the approximation I am giving here. And rectified spirit is 95.4%. I'll make a correction here. It is 95.5% ethanol, 95.5% ethanol and 4.5% water. So this is your rectified spirit. So students, this is all about alcohol or the ethanol. Now in my next session I'll discuss about the carboxylic acids. So I hope you understood the chemical reactions of ethanol. So in my next session I'll discuss about the chemical and the physical properties of ethanol.